You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Rodrance for our Black and White Sports. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as always, we appreciate you guys watching. So, interesting messenger this week about Colin Kaepernick. Sort of peeling the curtain back, I believe, on how a lot of black Americans feel about Colin Kaepernick and his quote-unquote kneeling for the national anthem crusade, which, interestingly enough, he parlayed into a hell of a lot of money. A hell of a lot of money. And then he went out there and said, well, the NFL's blackballed me. And of course, again, and I did a reminder on this, but we forgot that he was once, the Denver Broncos tried to trade for him. When the Niners decided, Kyle Shanahan decided they didn't want Cap anymore, or he wasn't going to fit his offense, the Denver Broncos were ready to trade for Kaepernick, make him the starting quarterback. But he did not want to take their contract offer. It's amazing. A lot of people believe that, and guess what Kaepernick had already done? He had already kneeled. Okay? And then we came back around after that. The Ravens were ready to sign him. They were going to sign him. And Kaepernick's ultra-radical girlfriend tweeted out the fact that essentially the owner was a slave owner, the Ravens owner, Bisciotti, and Ray Lewis was an Uncle Tom, and he was holding on tight to his owner. She tweeted out a picture, and of course that killed the deal as well. So, interestingly enough, Antonio Brown, all talented, all-world wide receiver, Patriots, Steelers, Buccaneers, Super Bowl champion, come out and look, again, we agree with almost nothing Antonio Brown has ever got to say, especially around a lot of his actions. I will completely acknowledge, unbelievably talented wide receiver. I mean, there's no disputing that. Even if he pulls some knucklehead moves, and he does, even if he loses focus, I think he ought to be focused on the field, not on rapping right now. That's just my honest opinion. But there's no doubt. I mean, the first time I remember when all that drama was going on with the Raiders, and he stepped on the field, and it was like, boom, he just flew past everybody like they were standing still. I mean, flew past fast cornerbacks like they were standing still. I mean, Antonio Brown's got unbelievable talent. Man, sometimes the things he says, just makes you shake your head. Well, he nailed Kaepernick. He called him trash, and he said black people aren't with you. Okay, you've taken deals. People know better. You're worked for Netflix. You got a documentary. You got all this money from Nike. Sit down and shut up. By the way, you were a trash quarterback as well. We've got another really damn good ex-NFL player who has come out, Shawne Merriman, Lights Out has come out and said Antonio Brown makes some valid points about Colin Kaepernick. And I got a feeling Antonio Brown has just peeled back the curtain and gave us some insight as to what's to come and how people really think and look at Colin Kaepernick. More often than not, when someone says something controversial, the problem isn't necessarily the message, but the messenger. Former NFL linebacker Shawne Merriman said that's exactly what's happened earlier this week when on again, off again, NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown weighed in on Colin Kaepernick's saga. To recap, Brown stated in an interview with Najee on Cigar Talk that this week that Kaepernick don't want to play, man. He was trash. Harsh words indeed, but Merriman said that, harsh through Brown's words may be, quote, a lot of people think that way. Quote, we get the message, but people aren't trying to listen because of the messenger. Oh, yes, the messenger. We can't necessarily blame anyone for raising an eyebrow about Antonio Brown. This is the same guy who back in early January while he was still with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, disrobed in the middle of the game, tossed his shirt into the Jets crowd, and headed to the locker room, completely abandoning his teammates in a critical moment. He subsequently was released from the team. So Merriman speaks for a lot of people when they say, I don't normally agree with Brown on a whole lot. But in the case of Kaepernick, he says Brown has, quote, made some valid points. Indeed, Brown and Merriman both list several reasons why Cap deserves a lot of criticism. Quote, he took the money from the NFL, the settlement, and then bitch because he couldn't get back in the league. The Nike commercials, all these things, Merriman said, not to mention, quote, his opportunities that he's had to get back in the NFL and just hasn't. It's because he keeps blowing them. Though few would agree with some of AB's antics, Merriman and many others around the league have put those antics aside to listen to what Brown has actually been saying and a message that they can agree with. Well, and I got to be honest here, I think there's a certain amount of realness that comes with Antonio Brown. I don't love his delivery. I don't a lot of times. But in this case, you know, he kind of took you to the streets and told you exactly from a street perspective what people think about Colin Kaepernick. I mean, it doesn't get any more real than that. And I agree with almost nothing that Antonio Brown has done over the last year. Okay, and he's done things prior to that with Mike Mayock I didn't like. But hell, right, wrong, or indifferent, he's right. He's right about this Colin Kaepernick thing. He absolutely is. And now you got a former star linebacker with the Chargers, Shawne Merriman, lights out. By the way, he had 3 years as an NFL player, 3 consecutive years that were unbelievable as a linebacker. I mean, insane. But he got hurt multiple times and had to retire way too early. Retired at 28 or 29 years old. But he makes some comments. He says, look, I get it. Antonio Brown, not a great messenger. But that doesn't mean his points are not valid. They are valid, and Shawne Merriman is agreeing with Antonio Brown here. Man, I can't wait to see who else is going to step up in this situation now. Shawne Merriman's coming out and saying, yeah, Antonio Brown's right. He's right about Colin Kaepernick. I've said we've called him a con man. We've called him a grifter. He didn't, you know, he went out there, said the NFL's a bunch of slavers, and then at the very same time is pissing and moaning that he can't get back in that same league he's running his mouth about. And look, if the guy really wanted to play, he could have played for the XFL without demanding a ridiculous $20 million salary. Or he could be playing in the USFL. He could have played in the Alliance of American Football. I mean, Johnny Manziel, he's a wreck. But at least he agreed to go to the CFL and the AAF for a while to try to reprove himself. Kaepernick, where you at? You're not anywhere. You're cashing checks, doing everything but playing football. You can't tell me that's not calculated. It is. Tell me what you think, black and white sports fans. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.